And as promised, here is the analysis from Georgia's leading investment bank, Galt&Taggart, on the latest trends and developments in the car exports industry. Tatia Mamrikishvili found time for a short but very in-depth business talk with the Checkpoints. Tatia, welcome to the Checkpoints. Today we'll be talking about the re-export from Georgia and also what corrections did pandemic have on this potential that Georgia has been capitalizing on for some years now. So very straightforward first question. How do you think that Georgia maintain its leader's role in re-exports in the region?
Hello, Ellen, once again, and thank you for hosting me here today. Georgia, I think it maintains its position as a regional hub for car trade. Actually, Georgia has established itself as a regional hub since 2005 and maintains its positions in the region till today. And there are a couple of reasons that I think explain this fact. First of all, the strategic location of Georgia. Besides, government also supported to the development of car trade in Georgia by enhancing customs procedures, reducing cost of trade, developing the trade infrastructure, and etc. So besides this, you know that we have the Rustavi car market, that is the largest used car market in the region. We have thousands of Georgians as well as regional customers trade for cars each year. Besides, this system of trading with cars has developed quite well. We import some of the used cars from United States of America mostly. We repair this in Georgia and we export to the regional markets. I think that Georgia still maintains itself as a regional hub for car trade despite pandemics. You know that in 2020 actually the re-exports were contracted sharply by 45% to 2019 year. But
let's talk about the reasons, and we know that some regulations have sharpened in Armenia, which used to be a big market for car exports from Georgia. And please, could you review this in context? Actually, what had the bigger toll on these numbers for Georgia? Was it pandemic or were these regulations?
Yeah, you mentioned correctly that Armenia was one of the largest target export markets for Georgia for years. More than half of the cars that were exported from Georgia headed to Armenia. However, you know that Armenia is the member of the Eurasian Economic Union and it had an obligation to increase customs duties on cars from 2020. Besides, along with Armenia, Kyrgyzstan also is the member of the Eurasian Economic Union, and it also had the similar obligation. These both markets were closed for Georgia from 2020. However, as I mentioned, the 45% contraction in 2020 in car exports compared to 2019 was mostly coming from this closure of Kyrgyzstan and Armenia. If we exclude the effect of these both countries, we will result into approximately 12% of contraction in car exports. That is quite low compared to that 45% that I mentioned already.
You mentioned several competitive advantages for Georgia, tax environment, administration on borders so far. Do you think these will remain as competitive advantages looking forward into the post-COVID period, whenever that
yes, for
appears?
sure. When I listen to many dealers or many people who are involved in auto business in Georgia and trading with cars, they say that some competitors, regional countries, can replace Georgia if government does not help to this sector. But I do not think that there is some kind of similar threat to Georgia as of today, because countries in the region do not have these competitive advantages. Like Azerbaijan, who only has the only option to to import cars from Georgia. Ukraine, for example, has different kinds of customs duties from different countries when it imports, for example, cars directly from USA. It may be because of the large import tariffs, it may be more expensive than the cars that are imported from Georgia. These cars are also imported from USA in Georgia and then re-exported to Ukraine, but because of the low cost of trade, these cars finally are less expensive than those that are imported directly from USA. So I do not think such kind of threat exists as of today's perspective.
What is the perspective with another big market and also our direct neighbor Azerbaijan? Do you think there could arise some kind of regulation issues as well?
As of today's standpoint, there are some talks going about some regulatory changes in Azerbaijan and that could threat the re-exports from Georgia to Azerbaijan. But at the regulatory level, this is not decided as of today, so we cannot say exactly that's how will the trade with Azerbaijan will continue. If these regulations are not imposed in Azerbaijan, we think that the re-exports are going to increase because you know that in 2020, despite pandemics, thanks to the online sales, we managed to maintain car exports in Azerbaijan. We had some kind of contraction, like 12% decrease compared to the 2019. However, if we deep down into the statistics and compare the quarter by quarter to the last year, we will see that the contraction was seen only second and fourth quarter when the lockdown measures were in force, and because of these lockdown measures, it was practically impossible to re-export cars to Azerbaijan. And we think that the demand from Azerbaijan is quite healthy, so the exports are going to increase if these new regulations are not in force.
I would like to hear more about the online selling of cars. Do you think that is something positive that has derived from this unprecedented pandemic that we are here, and would you say that this is some kind of adjustment that Georgian re-exports market went through successfully?
Yeah, for sure. I think that the online sales are the future of the trading, including the trading with cars. And thanks to these online sales, as I have already mentioned, we have managed to maintain the re-exports in Azerbaijan and in Ukraine as well. There was like 1% increase compared to the 2019 year's statistics. Like despite pandemics, we had maintained these re-exports thanks to the online sales. And I would mention that there are car dealer companies who mostly export cars to both countries, and for them switching to online sales was quite difficult, quite easy compared to individual car dealers who also are quite involved in this sector, and they also trade with cars, but they were not ready for this pandemic and they could not switch towards online sales quite easy compared to car dealer companies. So I would recommend to pay more attention to online sales for the future, as I think that this is the future of car trading.
I hope they will listen. And also, do you see the room for expansion or for substituting former traditional markets like Armenia, like Kazakhstan? What you have already mentioned. Is there some kind of potential to reach out to different markets?
You know, actually, as you are aware, we mostly trade with used cars. So this used car market mostly depends on the trading relationships between the trading countries as well as the regulatory environment in the region. There may be some changes in the regulations that may create some new opportunities on the market, as was the case for Ukraine, for example. From 2017, it became one of the largest target export market for Georgia. And there may be some changes in the regulations that, on the contrary, may close some markets for Georgia. That was the case for a recent case of Armenia, yes, in 2020. So from today's standpoint, it's quite difficult to say which markets could replace these traditional car export markets. But I would recommend to pay more attention to Ukraine. That is quite growing in recent years. It appears appeared from only 2017, and as of today it is the second largest re-export market for Georgia, and there is a room for growth to Ukraine. So if our car dealers concentrate on this market, it will be beneficial for them, I think.
Thank you, Tatia, for this very interesting business talk. Thank you for taking our questions.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Hey guys, stay tuned, subscribe and follow us on BMG.